How's it going, everybody? Welcome to sort of my introduction video to my YouTube channel. It's gonna be posted elsewhere, but everyone's been wanting me to start up a YouTube, and I'm gonna go all in this year, but we're gonna start off with a banger. We're gonna be talking trout fishing. Trout season's upon us in Southern Ontario right now, and I absolutely love fishing browns, brook trout, and if we get lucky at a drop back steelhead. And I'm gonna talk about kind of how I break down one of these small creeks that we have along Lake Erie and elsewhere, and how I optimize my performance out on the water with some of the things I do and use. So let's jump straight into it. But first and foremost, I have been battling a lung infection for almost a month now, so I apologize for the audio in this video, and my family's also doing laundry at the moment, so it's gonna be a bit wonky for the audio, but let's jump straight into this. So what exactly am I doing to prepare for my trip on the water? Well, I'm gonna be looking at the upcoming forecast, and I'm gonna pick my days based on conditions, and I do that on the Weather Network app. It's a fantastic app, and it's a well-known one, so it's easy to use and it's free. Another app I use is what's called the River app. Now, you can't check the upcoming data for your river, but what it does is it shows you the current water levels or current speed that your river is at. And it covers tons of rivers across Canada, and the app's amazing. So I can take a look at it, see what the river's at that day, and basically decide if I will go out to one river or the other. And it's a really great tool to have, and you can compare it to days where you had great success, see what the water levels were at, and optimize your performance there. And it's good to pick and choose what rivers you'd like to go to based on their water levels. So I use that app a ton, not just for trout, for smallmouth bass, walleye, catfish, you name it, all river species. That app is amazing. There's a free version and a paid version. I have the free version, my dad has the paid version. There's a lot more perks on the paid version, but definitely I recommend everyone downloading that app just to kind of plan out their day on the water and where they'd like to go. Once I get down to my river, I'm gonna be focusing in on two types of structure. There's gonna be your typical pool, which is your run or riffle into a deep pocket, or there's gonna be your log jam hole, and that's where I'm gonna be focusing a lot of my fishing, is in these log jam holes or brush pile holes, you name it. That's where I'm gonna be targeting the most. Fish are really hard to come by in these small rivers. Fish don't live in schools similar to as they would in a big river. So you might only be able to get one or two fish out of one hole. There could be more. It's very, very rare. So remember to be patient and take your time, be stealthy when you're going up to these locations. But I'm gonna throw up a picture now of a log jam hole. So this is gonna be one of my high percentage spots. This is where I'm gonna target a lot of the more aggressive fish. These fish, what they'll be doing is they'll be sitting headfirst in the current. As you can see in this picture, the current is moving in towards the log jam, and those fish are gonna be sitting there waiting for things to float down to eat, whether that's bait fish or insects. They're gonna be sitting there waiting, and they're hungry. So I love throwing a crankbait, a spinner along those logs, just to hold it right in front of those fish's face for them to come out and attack it. And that's a pretty textbook fish eat, and we do that a lot. Now the second area I'm gonna talk about is, again, it's gonna be your riffle or run to a deep pocket. And I'm gonna break this down into a top, middle, and an end section. So the top section is gonna be where your most aggressive fish are gonna be sitting 90% of the time. That's where they're gonna be waiting for their prey to come down off the riffle or the run, and they'll be right there to grab their prey. And those fish, after they've had a meal, they might back off into the middle section where they're gonna be not as aggressive, but they will still eat. So being able to slowly kind of make what I call a clock, working that hole, making sure you hit every little angle that you can fish in that hole. And once you've kind of made it to the middle, then you work your way to the end. You can sometimes get new fish to move up into that pool from the end. Those fish might be hungry from a journey. They had to go from the one pool to the next, so they might be really hungry. Or those fish are just getting really, really lazy, and if they see something going right by their face, they might just want to swipe at it, because typically at the end, before it gets to the fast current again, it's going to be a bit slower in the back of the pool. It's going to give those fish a place to rest, so if they can snag an easy meal, that'd be great. And I'm targeting it the exact same way as I would with the log jam hole. A small little crankbait or jerkbait, and then a spinner. Those are my two go-tos 90% of the time. I will use small hair jigs, but they don't usually work until later in the summer. But then again, it's hard on trout when the water temps are hot, so I avoid it, especially in the small rivers when there's not a whole lot of water and they can heat up really quick. So again, my two favorites for that situation again would be a crankbait and a spinner. So let's talk about some other scenarios. So a couple other scenarios. One I also like to target is undercut banks. Fishing small creeks, an undercut bank is a really, really cool piece of cover where it could be dirt shallow, and then on the other side of the river, the bank could be engraved in from the current, and then that opens up a slot for fish to go hide under. And then in that shallow water, those trout are going to be able to see their prey easier. So targeting something like that, especially when the sun's up, is a great area to look. Another area is going to be in those kind of open sand spots where those fish might be sunning themselves after a cool night, and that sun gets up, those fish might move out just to kind of get some sun on their body before moving back into their holes. You kind of got to time that with luck, but there's been some days where I have seen 5 fish in these small little tiny creeks sunning themselves, and it's a pretty cool sight, and those fish are pretty easy to pick off. Once they're out of their cover, they're pretty easy to target. So now let's talk about setup. So for a rod, the brand new Fenwick Eagles are absolutely amazing. They've been really, really hot here in Canada, and these things are sweet. They're really, really resistant. Again, I'm fishing crazy thick bush, and these things do not break, and we put them through hell. So these things work amazing. It's a 6.6 light, so it's still a little flimsy, but again, you're fishing trout, you need to absorb all the head shakes they do, so 6.6 light is perfect, kind of in the middle. You don't want to go too long, because then that's going to be a hassle carrying through the woods and being able to cast in these small rivers, and you don't want to go something too short, because then you don't have the backbone. So a 6.6 is a good in-between that I use 90% of the time. For a reel, I'm using a Pflueger President. This is a 1500. It's in between like a really small, low profile spinning reel and kind of what you'd start to upgrade into your bigger predatory fish species. So 1500 is great in the hand. It balances the rod really, really well. And you want a slower gear ratio. It's only a 5:2-to-1, but these crankbaits, you don't want to be burning them in, and you want to give these trout a chance to come get them. So smaller reel is great. I have it paired up with 8 to 10 pound braided line. The reason why I'm going so high is because these trout live in some crazy areas, and there is wood typically everywhere. So having a heavy braided line is good, and it also helps with casting. It's a lot smoother to cast with braided line. So 8 to 10 pound braid. Then what I'll do is I'll pair it up with a fluorocarbon leader if those fish are a bit more finicky, and I'll use 10 pound, and if it's really, really bushy, I'll go up to 12. Now that's typically if I'm fishing lures, but we'll get back into that in a second. Then connected to my line, I'm using 75% of the time, I'm using a crankbait, and the Berkley, let's see if he'll focus here. There. The Berkley Hit Stick 5 has shown proof, you can check it out on my Instagram, that these things absolutely say browns. They have a really fast rising action, and they dig down really quick. They have a ton of wobble, more than any other crankbait I've kind of seen and used myself, and they work phenomenal. Other baits I use is Panther Martins in that size 4 to size 6. I'll use a size 2 if I'm fishing for like brook trout, or if I'm fishing a really, really tiny creek and it's hard to make those casts. Something a bit lighter, it's a bit easier for those fish to get, but anything from a size 4 to size 6. With the Panther Martins, the nice thing with them is that they have really, really, really fine wire hooks, and they're really easy to bend out. That sounds like a bad thing, but when you're fishing rivers with treble hooks, you're gonna get snagged a lot. And the nice thing with the fine wire hooks is when they get stuck in a log, they can bend out easy compared to like a crankbait, so you're not losing as many spinners as you would anything else. So a Panther Martin spinner is fantastic. A different setup that I don't use a whole lot, but when those fish get really spooky, can be really killer. And that's a really, really simple rig, just a split shot and a night crawler on a really, really small octopus hook. Typically a size 2 to 4 hook with a small piece of split shot, maybe 2 if the water's high. And I absolutely love using that in deeper pools where there's maybe a bit more rock than, let's say, logs, or casting into a thick log jam. It works really, really well for fish that don't want to come out and chase a bait. And you can kind of get those more lazy fish to come out because that worm's just sitting there quivering slowly. And then something that we also do is we bring a worm blower with us. Berkeley makes a great one. It's with a needle point where you can blow air into the worm and it floats up off the bottom so it can get in those trout's face, and they absolutely love that. There's some rivers where they won't eat a crankbait no matter the conditions or spinner, and they will only eat the worm. So that is another really sneaky attack that we do on our rivers, and it's also a blast bite. Now, I'm using a smaller rod for that because you want to be able to feel it. So I'm using an ultralight combo, typically a 6 foot, and that's just to be able to feel those bites and to feel the bottom. And the same size reel is perfect, but I will use a lighter fluorocarbon leader, and typically I'm always using fluoro because I want that more finesse approach. So I'm gonna be using an 8 to 6 pound leader, and to really baby those fish, you need that ultralight rod so you don't break off in the thick wood. So that's gonna bring an end to this video. Try to make it short and sweet for you guys. We're gonna have a lot more content coming out soon, so please stay tuned to that. And I can't wait for trout season. We have a ton planned. There's gonna be a few collabs happening, and yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned in the next one.